It's very, very sexy to sell funnels, and it's very sexy to sell systems, which is what a lot of people have done. And there's no fault in that because a lot of these things do work. But for the vast majority of us, we are testing offers and testing ideas, right? We need minimum viable funnels to get up and running to start collecting revenue. That's why I love high ticket courses, is because number one, they're high ticket, they're high dollar value, helps make all of your marketing more profitable and gives you an established business model, which so many people lack here today. Hey, it's Joel Irwin, and welcome to another very special episode of Sold with Webinars. And this is part 5? Part 5 of our high ticket courses book preview series. And so if you've been tuning along, we just launched a new book called High Ticket Courses. You can go grab a copy, an electronic copy, at book.highticketcourses.com. Today we are going to be talking about how to set up your minimum viable funnel, and what is a minimum viable funnel, and why is it so important to what we are talking about here with high ticket courses. And so, in the world of digital marketing, it is very easy for us to get overwhelmed with all sorts of different types of fancy gimmicks and funnels and, launch funnels, challenge funnels, messenger bot funnels, webinar funnels, book funnels, and it gets really, really overwhelming. There are pros and cons to every single funnel, and I'm not here to tell you that those funnels are bad. But for me, I came to a tipping point after being immersed in digital marketing for years and studying digital marketing that I was being thrown in every direction possible. And as I started to discover power offers, as I started to discover when I need to start, where a long form webinar fits into the whole picture of growing a business, I started to realize that a lot of what we have been taught has been overkill. It's very, very sexy to sell funnels, and it's very sexy to sell systems, which is what a lot of people have done. And there's no fault in that because a lot of these things do work. But for the vast majority of us, we are testing offers and testing ideas, right? We need minimum viable funnels to get up and running to start collecting revenue. That's why I love high ticket courses, is because number one, they're high ticket, they're high dollar value, helps make all of your marketing more profitable and gives you an established business model, which so many people lack here today. And so once I discovered that, I've got something working here with power offers, and I discovered that there's a segment of my market that's ready to buy right now, as I started to realize that I'm putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, when I'm launching new ideas and I'm testing new ideas, I want minimum viable funnels. And I start to realize that these people who we are targeting with high ticket offers, they value their time more than they value their money. Now, what does that mean? If they are a high ticket buyer, they are wanting to keep as much of their time as possible. They are time poor and money rich. And so understanding that that is their value was one of the biggest aha moments for me to say, okay, great. Not everybody needs a webinar because, high ticket clients are very rarely going to sit through an hour to 2 hour long presentation. That's not who they're designed for. And that's totally fine. Those are designed for people who need more education, who are in, unaware stages, and who value their money more than they value their time, meaning they're willing to give up more time to learn about a process, to educate themselves, and in exchange for keeping their money and not having to, sacrifice their money. And so when you start to understand the difference between those two types of buyers, you start to realize that when you go after high ticket clients, you need to design an acquisition system around their values. And so we don't want to be pushing them through all these hoops to jump through because they're gonna drop off because they don't want to put up with all this time that they're ready to make a buying decision now. And so this minimum viable funnel that I discovered, which is the mini webinar funnel, is designed for those high ticket buyers. And so when I realized that a power offer attracts the people who are in that consideration stage, that buying consideration stage, it attracts sales qualified leads, I start to realize a sales process is the same throughout in almost all industries, right? Somebody has a pain, they are presented with an offer to solve that pain, and the questions that they go through are all very, very similar. And so we designed this modern day sales process, we call it the mini webinar funnel, as the minimum viable funnel that we use to validate our offers. And so it starts with step one is the power offer ad, right? So we already talked about that in the previous podcast, where we have that message out there that attracts buyer intent leads, sales qualified leads. And there's a difference between sales qualified leads and marketing qualified leads, but we'll talk about that in another time. But we attract the buyer type leads. Now, once we attract them, they're going to say, hey, oh, you've got an offer, I'm interested. Let me learn more. Okay, so now we continue on the process of how do you fulfill on that promise, because your power offer is your promise. So now, you've got them to click on your ad or your email or whatever it is. Now they're saying, I'm interested, I want to learn more. So now we take them to a very short video, that a pre-recorded video. This is not like a time scheduled event like a regular webinar, but we're taking them to a 5 to 15 minute mini webinar that educates them on how I'm going to fulfill on that promise. And this is really all about showing them your unique methodology and your unique process. Because remember, when we are targeting these people, we are targeting the people who likely have already tried and failed. They are hyper aware of all the other solutions. And so we just want to be able to position ourselves differently from everything else that's out there in the marketplace. The number one way that you will be able to build trust with a cold lead is if you speak their language better than they know themselves, okay? So if you know their problem better than they know it themselves, that's how you're going to build trust. And that's all we do in the mini webinar. We are just repeating our offer and showing them what our unique mechanism is, our unique process, our proprietary process. And so after they watch that, then they are going to have the opportunity to, okay, if you want to discuss this even further, go ahead, fill out an assessment form, and let's book a call. And so that next step after the mini webinar is the assessment form, where you ask them a couple of qualifying questions so you learn a little bit more about them, and then they go and they book a call. That's it. That is the minimum viable funnel. And that converts. It's been tried, it's been tested, because it is a sales process. So many people out there are going to say, oh, well, mini webinars don't work, or video sales letters don't work, or whatever, blah, blah, insert name of funnel doesn't work. And while fads will come and go, this system that we talk about inside of the book, High Ticket Courses, that I show all my clients and my customers, the mini webinar, that is a sales process that works for a very, very specific type of customer, and it's very, very effective. It's extremely effective. Now, it's one of the most effective forms that I've seen work across all markets, across all industries, and that is why we start with the mini webinar funnel, because we just want to book phone calls. Like, that is what we're doing. This is an appointment funnel that we use to get people to raise their hand. Yes, I'm interested in your offer. It's not, I'm interested in learning more about your information. I want to know more about your offer. How do you fulfill on that offer? What's your process? What's your methodology? And let me see if this, let's hop on the phone to see if this will work for me. That is what the minimum viable funnel is designed to do, and that is exactly what we teach with the mini webinar funnel. And why we call it a mini webinar funnel is because we still incorporate a lot of the same frameworks we talk about in our long form webinar framework, but we just cut out a lot of the fluff and focus on the top 5 to 15 minutes that really move the needle. So that's what I've got for you today. So if you want a copy of this book, go to book.highticketcourses.com and you can download your copy and start reading it in the next 3 to 5 minutes. So appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.